So I guess we'll start by, for you, just to give us a bit of a background on how you got into the industry and your journey to the club that we're sitting in now.
Okay, yeah, so my name's Will, currently General Manager of Unit17, which is in Ipswich, venue part of the Delta Group. My journey into the industry, I started as a DJ when I was 14, quite quickly picked up some residencies in some clubs, and I was resident in 3 clubs by the time I was 16.
Okay. Nice.
Developed as a DJ until I was about 19, 20. And then started taking on parties really, and started running parties. It was kind of like, got to the point where I was like, oh, promoters are sort of like, I'm bringing people in for promoters, perhaps I could do it for myself. Yeah. Started running some parties which had mixed responses really, some were good, some were bad.
Locally to here? Have you...
Cambridge based,
right.
So I started off in Cambridge, you know, I've always been Cambridge based.
Yeah.
And then at about 20, I think it was about 23, 24, I decided I'd had enough actually, so I sort of give up DJing, gave up promoting, and left clubland behind.
Yeah.
Became a plasterer.
How did you?
Nice.
Okay.
Yeah,
the obvious transition.
Yeah. A bit of a from rather than going to bed at 6 o'clock in the morning, I was getting up at 6 o'clock in the morning, freezing cold all the time. And after a couple of years, I just missed it. There was always like an itch there that needed to be scratched. You know, like. So I came back into it, started working, started putting on a few parties again actually for a club in Cambridge.
Have you always been a clubber yourself, like enjoyed going out? Or was it
Absolutely. If I was like, if I weren't DJing or putting a party on somewhere, I was in a different town or city somewhere in the UK, enjoying the nightlife. And when I come back to it, started running a few parties for a venue in Cambridge, and the GM there at the time was like, oh, you know, I'd quite like to get you on board full time. Do you know what I mean? Like sort of coming and helping out with sort of promotions and marketing of the business. And from then really, I just developed within the Delta Group into.
Oh, so your first involvement in a venue was a Deltic venue, like directly
as working for a company. Yeah. Was for the Delta Group, and then became a GM of another venue. So we've got the Delta Group. We've got 2 venues in Cambridge, and I became a GM of another venue for them in Cambridge. I was there for a couple of years, and then came to Ipswich.
Yeah, nice. So what's it like working for? I suppose you've got nothing really to compare it to if you haven't been with an independent. But
well, I suppose I could class myself as an independent before, not as a venue operator, but as a promoter. And obviously working for a company like Delta Group has great benefits because we've got so many great support networks.
Yeah.
In place, you know, you've got a great team up at the hub that help you out with anything that you need helping out with. As is obviously drawbacks because you know there's a corporate standard that you have to adhere to. Yeah. Which actually isn't a bad thing because it means we operate in a proper way, proper just way all the time. Sometimes can be frustrating when you see independents being able to just ride roughshod, but you know. Take the moral high ground really and be a bit like, well, you know, we operate to a sort of social responsibility standard. Yeah. And I think it bears fruits in the long run. Yeah.
So you've been involved in the industry for like 15 years, 20 years?
Yeah, for 20 years now, yeah.
Okay.
One way or another.
Yeah.
We were talking a little bit beforehand, off camera, and you sort of mentioned that with the rising trends and social media and all the rest of it now, Clubland is, safe to say, back, or would you say there's still a lot of challenges as it was maybe 10 or so years ago?
I would say the obvious change in Clubland was when the licensing laws changed and the smoking ban hit all at the same time. That definitely had a massive impact.
What was that, 2006, 2005?
Yeah, around that time, that definitely had a massive impact. But actually what I think it made it do is I think it actually now it's benefited the consumer because back then it was the pubs closed at 10 and everyone goes to the nightclub. Do you see what I mean? So you kind of like whatever you did, it didn't matter because you were going to fill up, and if you treated 10 customers in the wrong way and they decided they were never going to come back to your venue, it was fine because there was another 10 outside, and they'd fill that gap that was left. So what was a very big pool of people trying to fit into a small amount of space became totally the other way around. All the bars could be open till 3 o'clock in the morning. Pubs started trading as bars, we've put in sort of DJs on after 10 o'clock, that type of thing. So it's actually made people up their game. You know, customer service is a massive part of what we do now. Experience led all of the time. You know, all I talk about with my team is, you know, what's the experience, you know, like and I think clubs that don't engage in offering an experience are the ones that are really going to struggle, because there's less money, but people want more for their money. You know, so the ones that really invest in acts, in peripheral entertainment, in, you know, some of the Delta group do really well is, you know, real highly invested venues, you know what I mean? So it's got the latest sort of, you know, the moving heads, the lights, the stage presence. You know, you walk in this venue on a Saturday night, you walk in and it just feels immense, because the production is, you know, at that next level. And I think that's where it is now. And I think people recognise it more and more, especially with the explosion festivals, because you go to a festival and they just blow you over. You're just like, wow, look at that. Do you know what I mean? Like the production levels at festivals, and that's certainly something I look to achieve when you walk in the door of this venue. That, you know, we've got a great stage over there. I want people to walk in and feel like they've walked into a mini festival. Do you know what I mean?
I suppose it's competing with the bars that are trying to be nightclubs, the bars that are open late, and trying to differentiate yourselves from those, because I think a lot of clubs probably just open the doors and aren't really focused on that experience type thing. So obviously we've got a relationship that you use, Licklist, and I think you've always been onto us about how you try and make it an experience venue, which I think probably a lot of nightclubs don't so much do that.
Yeah, I think so. I mean, certainly with a venue this size, you walk in and you go, what's our USP? Like, what can we do that makes us stand out from other places? And, you know, you've got other high street brands in terms of bars and nightclubs, and you have to look at what you can do different to them, because if you all try to do the same thing, you don't differentiate yourselves. You know, you don't corner any market. You know. So when I walked into this venue, it was definitely like, this should be all about experience, because this venue can offer something that not many places in Suffolk can. Do you know what I mean? So we should really, really focus on that and deliver that. Because then we'll be remembered for, if you want that, if that's what you want, you go out to Unit17. You don't go to, you know, one of the other bars, because you're not going to get that big main room atmosphere with a, you know, probably, you know, we'd like to consider the best DJs in the region. Do you know what I mean? And
what does that planning kind of stream look like? Is that something that you go year to year? Do you go month to month and go, right, we want X DJ? For instance, so you've got Example coming in a couple of days. You've got Dappy coming in a couple of weeks. Have you had that in the pipeline to kind of branch out in terms of the USP, or is that something?
I think the strategy is that we can offer acts that other people won't be able to offer. Can you name them acts now? Can I tell you who them acts are going to be in October? I probably couldn't. There's staple acts like Example and Dappy, who have been around for years, and you look at it and go, oh, it's going to be a ticket seller, we'll do that. You know, you can pull them ones off the shelf and put them in at any point in the year and go, yeah, we're going to do that. But with the rise in, you know, Apple Music, Spotify, all of these streaming platforms, what's hot today cannot be hot tomorrow. You see what I mean? And you have to be reactive and go, right, well, that tune's just had, you know, that tune was released last night, it's had 1 million hits on YouTube this morning, we need to book it today. Do you see what I mean? For 3 weeks time, because if we don't do it in 3 weeks, it's going to be well out of our reach, because it's going to be too expensive, or it's just going to flopped. You know, you can have that really short window. But do you have much of a say on who you book? Do you make suggestions on acts and things?
Yeah,
Deltic's really good like that. We have freedom to do what is right for our town, obviously within a framework. And we have,
there's no Lady Gaga coming anytime soon.
No, unfortunately not. Not sure I'll be able to make the numbers work on that one. But we do have, you know, what works in Ipswich doesn't necessarily work in, you know, Ashford. You know, so we do have the freedom to go, well, this is right for Ipswich and this is what we want to do. And obviously we have the, you know, the management structure above us that will have a say in it. But generally the belief is that the manager knows what's right for the town that he works in. You know, he should know what's right for the town that he works in.
So Example is obviously going to be a huge night for you. What sort of planning and preparation goes into a night like that?
So, example, it started, I want to say, early December,
Right.
which is actually a long lead time for in this day and age for an act. But the great thing is that Del had gone a bit of a tour with example, so we knew quite far out there was going to be a possibility, and then the dates got shared between the venues that wanted it. So that we've actually had the grace of actually being able to roll that one out in a traditional manner, which is kind of like, you can say 12 weeks out, there's going to be a full live show, for example, and you can just step it up as week and week go by. Whereas when you've booked something like Dappy, we actually only confirmed on Sunday.
Right.
So we're only 3 weeks out. So it literally needs to go from he wasn't coming to it's everywhere.
Yeah.
Within 2 days. Do you know what I mean? Like, the video needs to be out, the flyer needs to be printed, the posters need to be done, the social media strategy needs agreeing. That all needs to happen in a short period of time. Whereas, for example, you've had that good long lead time, which is more event led than nightclub led. Do you know what I mean? Because with a O2 Academy or a Ministry of Sound, someone who programs big acts all the time, they've obviously got a program and they'll probably know what they're doing in October, November time. Whilst we'll have an idea of it, they deal with acts that are not going to blow hot and cold. The level of act they put on, they'll sell tickets now, they'll sell tickets in October. You know what I mean? So they get that. I would call that event-led strategy behind the way you market that.
What keeps you in the industry?
I get asked that question a lot, and I don't know, because on the face of it, it's a lot of late nights, a lot of early mornings, a lot of lack of sleep. But it's just that buzz for. It's that moment when people leave and you hear them leave and go, do you know what, that was banging. Do you know what I mean? And you'll have conversations with people and they'll be like, oh, do you remember that night when this? Do you remember that night when that? And you'll be like, yeah, well, actually, I was responsible for putting that on. Do you know what I mean? So it's probably, and providing memories for people that, they might not at the time necessarily realise that in 10 years they'll talk about that. But when they get together as a group of mates in 10 years' time and they're reminiscing about when they were younger and they went out clubbing and they did all that, and these stories that they're telling, being the person behind that, makes me feel quite good actually. Feel happy.
Obviously, as a general manager, it's a lot of responsibility. I often say to managers that I meet that general managers of nightclubs have got to be some of the most hard-working people, because you're doing the 9 to 5 office. You're here during the day, but then you're also here Friday nights, Saturday nights, midweeks when you open. You're opening the club. You're the last one in, closing it. And I think a lot of people probably don't appreciate the hours and the level of.
Oh yeah, don't get me wrong. My life was a lot easier when I was a promoter. I could walk in at 10 o'clock and then leave at 2 when the box office shut. Do you know what I mean? And leave the venue to it. But all it takes is that atmosphere. You can have a pig of a week. Where all of the moving parts to a nightclub come together in a week, and you kind of like, you're dealing with all of the things that have gone on. Monday morning, you're dealing with lost property, and then you're dealing with all the things that can crop up in a week that you have to deal with as a GM. And you can have a pig of a week, no sleep, knackered, and then you can stand at the back of the room on a Saturday night and watch it jumping, and just be like, well, that's what it's all about, and that's what I do it for. So I suppose that is the answer to the question.
With that in mind, obviously you're seeing it, a lot of satisfaction from that sense. How is it internally with the staff? Are you guys quite a unit as a team? Are there new people coming? Are there people leaving?
I always say that a successful venue, the staff team were actually the lifeblood of it. Do you know what I mean? I'm on the wrong side of 30 now. And whilst I like to think that I know what,
it's trendy,
the 18 to 21 kids, and finding trendy and really
I'm there right
happen.
now, so I have no idea what's going on.
To an extent. The teams, the staff that we employ are that age group, so I take a lot of time listening to them, and sometimes they don't even know that I'm farming them for information. Do you know what I mean? We'll just be having conversations, and then I'll go away and be like, actually, there's 4 members of staff now that have spoken about a certain person.
Right.
Do you see what I mean? And in a town like Ipswich, they're actually the outlet to your customers. In somewhere like London, the big cities, you can have a strategy, a marketing strategy, which sort of goes like bang, and it's just going to appeal to this broad group of people, and we're going to get those customers from that. In somewhere like Ipswich, it's much more local. Do you know what I mean? So if you've got the right people working for you behind the bar, on the door, on the the DJs, people like that. It's actually more about them networks. So if you've got an engaged staff team that all love the fact that they work for Unit, which they do, they'll be the ones coming to you going, oh, it's so-and-so's birthday, I've got my mate's birthday on the weekend, oh, I've got, so-and-so wants to come out at the weekend, is there anything we can do for him, and actually it's a big source of your customer base comes in through actually being engaged with the staff that work for you. Not just, there's a lot of people that just treat, our bar staff's just a bar staff, isn't it? Do you know what I mean? But I'm very much more engaging with everybody, the whole team, like we're on this journey together, do you know what I mean? And when I feel success, you feel success, and when you feel success, I feel success, do you know what I mean? And they've really bought into that, which is great, do you know what I mean? And you'll get people that come and go, you always do you know what I mean? And you'll get some people that do just look at it like, I just need a bit of extra cash on a Saturday, I'm not really interested in anything else, do you know what I mean? But on a whole, the team is really good, and we always look to develop from within the team, do you know what I mean? So it's always made clear. We've recently just promoted a guy that came in as a member of bar staff, who went up to bar supervisor, who's now a trainee assistant manager. So I think that's really important for the team to see that there's not just a bar job, do you know what I mean? If you do want progression in this industry, then we can provide it, especially as the Deltic Group, because we've got 67, 68 venues across the country. Got a great little MVQ setup going on now. With head office got a central team. Ollie heads up the MVQ side of things. So there's actually a proper route through. And if you hit a ceiling at Unit because someone else above you is doing the job already, well, actually there's another venue down the road that you might be able to continue progression. You know what I mean? It's not just an independent club where you're gonna get to a certain level and the owner's not going anywhere, is he? It's my club, do you know what I mean? So I'm always going to run it, and that's great. And I think within the Deltic Group, if you look, there's a lot of sort of that going on at the moment, which is developing GMs and deputy managers from grassroots level and taking it all the way through. If you talk to, I'd probably go as far to say 80% of the Deltic GM estate, they'll be able to tell you a story when they started as a pot washer,
worked their way up.
And worked their way up through the ranks, whether it be as the Deltic Group, the Luminar Group, like whatever guys it was at the time. They've come from like right in entry level right way up to be a GM. Yeah,
I suppose GM is such a broad role, and depending on what GM you talk to, some are better at certain things than others. I guess from your promoter background, I guess you're quite driven on. Are you quite hands-on with like the marketing and promotion of the venue?
Yeah, definitely. I'm actually quite hands-on everywhere, actually, because I didn't come through I suppose what you'd call the traditional channel, which is the operation side of the business. When I started developing to be ready to be a GM, obviously I had to learn quite a lot quite quickly, because it was kind of this is all operations. So I'm actually I like to have my hands on every part of the business and put the right people in them parts of the business to trust them. You know what I mean? And just stand and give it a general overview. But
in terms of like marketing and promotion and social, where are you sort of with that? Where does the venue sit with that? And what are you using? What are you getting success from?
Again, it's one of those things that with marketing, it's so broad. You have to the very first thing you have to do is to decide what your objective is. What is my objective here? Who am I targeting? They're the first two questions I ask all the time. What's my objective? Who am I targeting? So once I've decided those two things, that will tell me where I'm going to go with it. Is it, example, whilst it'll appeal to a student audience, Ipswich doesn't have a great deal of students. So to make that event work, I've got to look and go, well, maybe I'm looking at the people like myself that are going clubbing when example was massive. So I'd have to use a more traditional form of marketing for that. Flyers, going to talk to people, ticket in the streets, do you know what I mean? Focus maybe a little bit more on Facebook rather than Instagram or Snapchat. Do you see that? So making sure, but then week to week, like my sole belief at the moment is that our customers are on Instagram. They're I think Instagram's probably the biggest opportunity we've got at the moment. Obviously for a number of years we've all done loads of work on Facebook, and we've kind of already established that the week in, week out, this is what you need to do on Facebook. You have to have your photos uploaded to Facebook, and you know, you want people tagging your photos to keep your presence on social media all of the time. And obviously that's still required, but Instagram is the next one. Like, what do we do with Instagram? How do we, you know, Facebook wasn't a platform that was wicked for marketing nightclubs when it first started. You know, we had to come up with tactics and strategies and things that made it that way for us, you know, and obviously their biggest driver is video now, you know, so there's this big scramble for everyone to shoot videos in nightclubs, you know, and the people that have had their finger on the pulse have already been doing that for 2 or 3 years. So what are we doing now to create these Instagram strategies that in 3 years people are just catching up with? That's where my mind at the moment is.
So you're trying various different things at the minute, or is it?
Yeah, I mean, I think social media is becoming more and more here and now. It's all stories based.
It's
people
definitely been. People are taking it a lot more seriously. I think what we've noticed, or I've noticed, is the demographic. It certainly is that. It used to be a case of, I'll just log on for 5 or 10 minutes and have a look and mess about, have a little piss about on it. But now it is becoming so business focused and centric, because businesses within this industry know that's where our customers are. And as you said before, if you are going to be targeting a certain demographic, you know, the old school flyers, handouts, that kind of things targets people of our generation. The generations a couple below us and the ones below them can't associate with that, so they don't understand that as a way
And I
forward.
think even the generation in between now, which was the Facebook generation, you know, my clubbing generation was definitely probably flyers, maybe a little bit of Facebook, do you know what I mean? But there's a Facebook generation now which clicked attending on events. You know, the strategy was like, how do we get as many people as we can possibly click and go into my event? Because if it says it's got 1,000 people going, everyone's going to go. Do you know what I mean? And now no one really cares how many people have clicked attending on a Facebook event, but that generation did. Do you see what I mean? This generation don't actually like being sold to. That's my belief. They don't like being actively sold to. So you have to come up with marketing strategies with Instagram stories and them types of things where they don't feel like they're being sold to. And influencers are the biggest part of that. Because if you look at influencers that are wearing a MAC lip gloss, they're not wearing it and it's got a MAC logo on the screen, or it's $49.99. They're not actively selling to them, but what they are doing is they're going, oh, that, I don't know, Kim Kardashian. Oh, that's Kim Kardashian. She's using MAC makeup. I need MAC makeup. See, it's a totally different route to market than putting up a deal and going, oh, look, oh, Kim Kardashian's wearing it. By the way, it's MAC. By the way, it's $49.99. You know what I mean? You might get it in the description of the post to say, oh, using MAC lip gloss or whatever it is that you use it. And we have to find out how we do that. Do you know what I mean? How to, and there is an easy way to do it, and it's experience. Which is why I'm always chatting to you guys and going, look, I don't want a photographer just taking pictures of people. I want them taking pictures of the atmosphere in the room and really capturing the moment of like, we need to go there on Saturday night because that looks mental. Do you know what I mean? Not, you know, every nightclub and bar has got people in it. Do you know what I mean? So if we walk around just taking pictures of people, then we're just doing the same as everybody else. We're not actually working to what our strong point is, which is this massive main room. It's got big moving lights, it's got great DJs, it's got CO2, it's got confetti. You know, if we're not capturing all of their moments, then we're not. What's the point in doing it? Do you know what I mean? Because they're the shots that sell. You know, if you look at a shot come through from one of your guys on a Saturday night and it's that big bang and he's captured the confetti coming out at the time that it's come out. It's hands in the air. Do you know, that's the shot that makes you go, that place looks wicked. Do you know what I mean? Not the one of 3 girls that just stood there because they wanted a photo. You know what I mean?
Not that there's anything wrong with that, but we obviously understand.
No, there isn't. You need it. Obviously, you want people to see that there's people in your club. Do you know what I mean? But you can't have albums and albums full of just people.
No, of course.
People expect people.
Exactly.
Do you know what I mean? They don't necessarily expect CO2 to go bang. They don't necessarily.
Is that why people should come here?
For experience.
Yeah,
definitely. Because that's what we put all of our focus on, experience. Whether that's big main room, you're going to have a memorable like night in terms of music production. You're also going to have a great night because we put a lot of focus on customer experience. So from the front door, the door staff are polite. You know, they're not the age-old burly doorman that's just
Names not down, not coming in.
get away. We're trying to get away from that and being more
Sure.
like, we like our door staff to treat people on a first name basis when they take their ID. Well, thanks, Angela. Have a great night. Do you know what I mean? So there's just really softened up the feel of coming to a nightclub. We want people to, we've got our hostesses and our ladies dressed in ladies in red, we call them, so they know everything about the business. If your phone's dead, we've got chargers. If your feet are sore, we've got flip flops. If you're, we're really, really knuckled down into the actual experience and the journey. That anything that could be a negative in your experience, we've tried to do something that makes it like, oh, actually, we've got a solution for that.
Yeah,
sure.
Do you know what I mean? And it goes down really well. The flip flops, people go mental for.
I can imagine.
Because one of the things you look at in all nightclubs, the doorman are obviously briefed with like enforcing the rules of the venue, and one of them rules is rightly, you've got to have shoes on. Do you know what I mean? Because there's a whole host of problems that come with not having shoes on.
Of course.
But rather than having these awkward situations where it's like, put your shoes back on. I don't want it. My feet hurt. And then you get into the point where we're going to have to ask you to leave because you won't put your shoes on. Just give them some flip flops, mate. Because then we're both happy. Do you know what I mean? She's got something on her feet. They're not.
And it's also an experience. It's the talk. It's the. Do you remember that night when I had to wear my flip flops?
Yeah, again,
Comes full circle.
And not many at the moment clubs are doing that type of thing. Do you know what I mean? And I'm
Have you copyrighted this just in case? Okay, fair enough.
But that's not just work that I'm doing. That's work that the Delta Group are doing as a whole. You know what I mean? Across the whole estate. That all of these customer initiatives should be, our customers are the people we want raving about us. So we should do everything that we can to make them feel like they've had a great night, feel like they've been safe.
Yeah.
Feel like, and even if you find yourself in a situation where you might have acted like a bit of an idiot, we still treat you with respect and we still treat you fairly. Do you know what I mean? It's not this old picture of like doorman throwing someone out of a fire exit. Do you know what I mean? It's kind of like, no mate, you've been an idiot, you're going to have to leave, but you are going to leave through the front door and you're just going to go on about your night. Do you know what I mean?
How do you deal with complaints? Because you get in any venue, you're going to have the drunk person that gets thrown out and they complain, and probably shouldn't have complained. It's not right.
I think what I like to do with complaints is obviously you have to hear them on the night, but like you say, a lot of the time it is because the person's drunk and they're not seeing that they're part in the problem.
Yeah.
Some complaints will have a genuine reason to be like, yeah, you're right, mate, you've got every right to be annoyed. Do you know what I mean? But I like to give a little bit of a cool down period. Do you know what I mean? And be like, let's have a chat. I've heard you complain, mate. I'm going to look into it. I'm going to deal with it. Can I talk to you again tomorrow? Do you know what I mean? Like, give me your number. We'll talk again tomorrow. And if you still feel the same way, mate, then we'll address the issue. And 9 times out of 10, it's kind of like you'll speak to the person the next day, and they'll be like, "Oh, mate, I was being a bit of an idiot. Actually, I'm actually quite embarrassed."
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
I'm sure. Yeah.
But then some people do have genuine reason to complain. But the main thing we're always interested in is that we actually hear it.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I'd much rather know if someone's had a negative experience,
Right.
rather than them going away and telling them, well, I don't go to Unit, there's idiots in there, they do this, they do that, treated me like this, they've done this, bar staff are rude. Of course. So it's always better to hear it because then you can do something about it. You know what I mean?
What's the state of nightlife like in Ipswich, and your views as a whole, really, nightlife in general?
I think in Ipswich, it's actually quite good on a Saturday.
So you're comparing it to, like, I'm assuming, Cambridge, where
it's a totally different animal to Cambridge, because Cambridge is totally student-led. So you've got, in Ipswich, you've got 4,000 students. In Cambridge, you've got 70,000. So it's like a totally different ball game. In Cambridge, you could get away with opening your venue 6 nights a week, and there'd be enough students to fill it 6 nights a week. Ipswich is much more of a local town. Do you know what I mean? Saturday night, absolutely solid. Thursdays and Fridays, you have to work a bit harder to try and make something happen, because the general audience will work on a Thursday, and they work Fridays. It's not that student mindset of life. It's going out, but it don't matter for my selection tomorrow. You know what I mean? So I think the nightlife as a whole across the country.
I suppose you have quite a good well, you're obviously based in Ipswich, but you have a better insight than most nationally because of your involvement with the Delta Group.
Well, yeah, and when you've been around the regions as well, you start to know GMs from all across the country. It's not just we're in the east, and well, obviously I know all the GMs in the east, but I've been in the Midlands. Do you know what I mean? And the GMs from Nottingham and Hanley and places like that. So you do get a broader picture, and I think it's actually quite healthy if you're doing the right things. That's my opinion. I think we have to work harder than ever to make it happen. But I genuinely believe that work's rewarded.
Yeah.
So,
of course, because essentially you're not resting on your laurels or looking at an industry that once was. It allows you to be more creative, especially within the Deltic group, but you as a GM on your own and go, right, instead of contracting, let's figure something out and make it better. And that way then by making it better, being unique, it's going to give your audience, your customers, something different. And again, it's just that it's a good cycle to be in.
Yeah, and we live now in a throwaway society.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, and people want the next big shot for Instagram all of the time. Do you know what I mean? And if you just do the same thing every week in, week out, and don't change anything, it just becomes stale very, very quickly.
Yeah.
You know, whereas something 5 years ago, you could put, you know, on that wall over there, I could put up an interesting slogan or a bit of graffiti or something, you know, people go, oh, that's wicked to take a picture against. That might last you for a year or 2 years 5 years ago, but now it's so throwaway that you need to redo it every week or 2 weeks, because as people come in and take pictures of it, well, you don't want a picture of it now because your mate's got one with it. Do you see? And it's on his Instagram. I don't want my Instagram to look like his Instagram.
Of course.
It is that throwaway now that you have to keep it changing, and we've got the ability to do that with this venue, which is great in terms of changing the production, changing the peripheral entertainment. Do you know what I mean? So there's different types of entertainment every week, booking different acts. You know, so we can really provide different experiences from week to week without major upheaval.
Do you ever ask customers or audiences, how can we perform better? How can we do better? Always. Good.
Even if it's a complaint that's a non-justified complaint, you know, if you're kind of like, mate, well, you know, that person's just doing their job. Do you know what I mean? Like, there is a rule and you've broken it. You can still ask the question, be like, how do you think we could have handled it better then, mate? You know, like it has been, the end result's not going to change because there is a rule, and I do believe that you've acted in a way that resulted in you either being spoken to or removed from the venue. But I'd like to know how you think we could have dealt with it better. Do you know what I mean? So you can always harness good feedback or information from even the most negative of situations. Do you know what I mean? You don't actually want to talk to the customers, well, you do, but you don't want the feedback from the customers that tell you great all the time. You don't get anything useful from it. Oh, I love Unit, it's great. Okay.
You're always looking for at least the 1 or 2 stars.
Yeah, they go, actually, mate, I'd really like it if you did this. Do you know what I mean? Like, it's all right, but what about if you tried this? Well, they're actually the more useful people, because you kind of, actually. Do you know what I mean? You'll get some people that come up with some absurd stuff, and you're just like, mate, it's just never going to happen. No, you should book Drake. Yeah, all right, I'll do it tomorrow. Like if
you would put some towards that.
Yeah, if it was that easy, we'd all be doing it, wouldn't we? But you do get, you know, it's the middle ground people that you can harness the most information from, because they're the ones that you haven't wowed, but you haven't disappointed either. So when you have that conversation with them and be like, you know, what is it you'd like to see? You know, like, you know, well, what could we have done better? You know, and they'll come out with some nuggets sometimes, and some things that are so simple that you're just like, mate, why didn't I think of that? Do you know what I mean? I can't think of one off the top of my head, but there's some that where you just sit there and think, mate, I should have thought of that. Like, how have I not thought of that? And that's because I'm immersed in it all the time. And sometimes the most simple things can have the most impact. And you don't think of it because it's simple. Or you tried it before 5 years ago. That didn't work 5 years ago, it's not going to work now.
Right.
Do you know what I mean? So we shouldn't be afraid to try things that we did 2 years ago. Because the other thing about this industry is, if I did something 2 years ago, I now look at it as old hat and go, I've done that, been there, done it, why would I do it again? Well, actually, our customer base is changing all the time because people grow up and they stop coming to nightclubs. Do you know what I mean? Not stop, but they visit less frequently. And what they expect from a visit is different. So actually, all of these 18 to 22-year-olds that are coming through, well, they weren't here 2 years ago. So something that you did 2 years ago ain't old hat to them. Do you know what I mean? So sometimes the recycled ideas are the ones that are best, and sometimes we forget about them. Do you know what I mean? Say, like, actually, why didn't we do that? Smashed it last time we did it. Because we feel like we've already done it. We don't sometimes recognise that our customer base has totally changed and they've never seen it before. You see what I mean? So,
and a lot of these new ideas, especially in this industry, sort of get oversaturated. The minute one person done it and does it well, then everyone in the region's doing
jumps on it.
So like, I think a lot of the time, a lot of these old traditional methods can be quite effective.
And I think that's where we've got a strong point in the industry as a whole, as the types of venues that Deltic produce. Because, you know, if a porn star martini is the big thing, well, everyone can do a portside martini. And then you get that problem.
Yeah.
Like, oh, it's big, everyone's got to do a jump on it. Gin, sell loads of gin, stock loads of gin. Anyone can do that because the trend allows them to do it. Because, you know, everyone's got a drink supplier and everyone can go, oh, pink gin's on the rise. Make sure we've got 5 different brands all available to people at different pricing points. But you can't go, not all venues can go, oh, do you know what? Did you see the way that they produced that new Drake video, or did you see the way that Boomtown produced that vision and that effect on stage? Well, actually, we could do that because we've got the venue to do it. Do you know what I mean? And not everyone's got that ability. But the way that Delwick produce venues, most of our venues do have the ability to go, right, well, actually, we can be quite versatile.
Yeah.
So if a change in trend in terms of production, which actually has the biggest impact, because when people walk through the door, it's the first thing that they see. Yeah, you walk through that door there, the first thing you see is what's going on stage or what's going on in the centre ring.
Right.
You know, that all of that hits you before they go, oh, I wonder what drink I'm going to have. Your mind absorbs all of that first. If you can just make them go, wow, from the second they walk through the door.
Would you say that's the... Actually, I'll rephrase that. What would you say then the funnest part of the job is? Because obviously you're dealing with a lot of stress, as you said. Sometimes you can go through the whole week, but you do see the reward. But in terms of an overall fun, because you do enjoy it, what would you say that part of the role looks like?
I think with nightclubs, and that the unique part of it is the bit that I enjoy the most, and that is that I can sit in a room full of creative people, which I've got, you know, in our team, and go, all right, we've used this strategy for a while now. Looks like it's tailing off a little bit. What are we going to do differently to drive customers from the very first point? How are we going to get them through the door? What are we going to do differently? You know, like one of the things we're talking about at the moment is like, what about, it's mad, like let's just tell everyone on a Thursday night, if they turn up with a banana, they can have free entry.
Right.
And you've done that?
Mental. I haven't done it,
right.
but I know someone else who has.
Okay.
And you know, it's actually my boss, and he tells me stories of how Sainsbury's sold out of bananas. Do you see what I mean? Because people were going and buying a banana and turning it in. At the end of the night, they just have this stack of bananas. You know,
so when the bouncers are doing the pat down, and they so
what's that, mate? Oh, it's a banana. Like
you do let them know, by the way, the bouncers.
Of course, so that, you know, that very first part of the journey, what are we going to do that's interesting that are going to make people want to come to us? Right. You know, and then what are we going to do differently when they come through the door, so it feels like a different experience, because and then it stays fresh in their minds all the time. And that, you know, I just sat down with Richie yesterday, and we were talking about bank holiday plans, and by the end of us talking, we were both stood up in the office, sort of like moving around in this real enthusiastic, like excited manner. You know what I mean? It was kind of like, if we can't have that space to do that, we can't expect our customers to feel it. If I don't get excited by it, why would my customers get excited by it? So that creative space is really important, and I love it. Like, I left yesterday thinking today was a great day, because I walked in with an idea of like, it's been, you know, the idea's been there for a little while in my mind. You know, on Easter Sunday we're going to do a full moon party. But how do we do a full moon party where people feel like they've actually been to Thailand? So that's the first thing on the board. Not, we'll just put a few glow sticks buckets around and a few buckets. Like, what are we going to do to make it feel like you are at an actual full moon party? Do you know what I mean? And the great thing is we're allowed to do that.
Do you turn the heating full up so it's ridiculous?
Yeah, we'll make it really hot. You know, we've got companies that we work with that share them same, you know, creative passion. Brilliant. You know, and we brought them into the conversation yesterday, and they're like, "Oh, mate, could do this, could do that," and all of a sudden we were just like, "Mate, this is going to be epic."
Yeah.
You know, and I believe that people buy into that when you deliver that.
Yeah.
It's like, you know, things like Halloween, Christmas, New Year's Eve, all of those things in venues like these are so important, because it gives people the belief. So if Halloween, you know, we spent a ton of money decorating this place for Halloween. You know, we had a great company come in, really deck it out as this Twisted Circus theme, and when you walked in, it felt, customers, you could hear them coming upstairs like, wow, this is mental. But that gives them that trust in your brand. So when I go out and tell them now that we're going to do a full moon party, they will be intrigued to know what this full moon party is going to be all about. It's not, they won't be like, oh, it'll just be a couple of like globe wristbands across the tables and stuff like that. They'll be like, oh, actually, normally when units say they're going to do something, they do it. Do you know what I mean? So let's go and have a look at it.
Yeah.
And we just have to make sure we deliver on that every time. Because there's two ways of providing experience, and you can book the current acts that people want to see. Obviously, that's an experience, it's a memory. Do you know what I mean? And people enjoy that.
Yeah.
But you can't book people all the time. So the other way to provide experience is to really go full on with production and deliver what you say you're going to deliver every time. And people will remember it. Like I didn't do it, but last year the previous GM here did a Mad Hatter's Tea Party. When you look at the photos from it, you're like, mate, that looks mental. Like they've gone all out for that. And people still talk about it now. Yeah. We're nearly a year on. Do you know what I mean? And people are still like, oh, do you remember that Mad Hatter's Tea Party? And that shows that it has lasting impact.
Yeah.
And that's what I love doing. I love that creative space, like where you can walk out of a meeting and feel infused. Like, oh, this is what we're in it for. We're not in it just to, figure out how many vodka Red Bulls we sold on Saturday night, and how many security do I need for Saturday, and all the nuts and bolts of running.
Because that's going to be that you're going to have to do that anyway.
It happens anyway, doesn't it? So you have to make sure that in your week you put enough time in for the creative space to really come out. And put it to your staff as well. Like when you go to your staff, like thinking of doing this, what would you do? If I say to you, full moon party, what do you think of straight away? Yeah. And then again, just farm that information and be like, okay, cool. Well, Laura is actually 19. Do you know what I mean? And if I've said full moon party to her, it might mean something different to her than it means to me. Do you know what I mean? So take that information and make of it what you will, but it might be something that's really useful, and again, something really simple, like, oh, we could do that, and it's not going to cost any money. Why would we not?
Yeah, brilliant. Well, look, really appreciate your time today. You final question?
Yeah, just shifting gears into ending a happier note. What's the craziest thing you found in the toilet?
Nice.
I don't know, actually.
Anyone sleeping in there, head down there?
Oh, you've had, I found people sleeping in there, you've had people making out in the toilets, all that kind of thing. But in terms of like crazy possessions left in the toilet, I don't think I've got one.
Anyone? No. Any toilet seats ripped off? Toilets come out of their hinges?
Oh well, I've got actually my last venue was a toilet story. So I went on to so in the end of the night we'd gone into the toilet and there was 3 toilet seats off and just on the floor, like actually fully off and on the floor. And we were like, mate, what's gone on in here? But then when I went on the venue Snapchat later, there was 3 girls in the toilet pretending to be a girl band with the toilet seats around their neck and hula in the toilet seats around their neck. That was quite brilliant. Funny. Yeah. Especially when they turned up the next week.
I was going to say that,
I've seen this.
Yeah, got an invoice from Wix.
To say you owe us a few toilet seats. But yeah, that was quite an interesting one, I suppose.
Yeah. Cool. All right, that's it from me.
Yeah, no, really appreciate your time today. I know you're a busy guy.
Yeah,
thank you.
It's always good to talk.
Yeah. Cheers, bro.
All good.
All the best.